As we put together the disparate pieces of our lives, we find a tapestry forming a picture. And each of the pictures of our individual lives have different parts to them. And even though the tapestry of my life and yours might look different, we also have a lot in common. Isaiah 35 provides us with images of comfort, assurance, and hope. And these words from the prophet can come together to give us a profound reason for joy during this Advent journey. It's a journey, it's a story of God transforming land and people, and it's an invitation to participate in God's work right here, right now, where we are. And even though this is a universal invitation, we're all different. We think different, we dress differently, and when we think about these differences, it's easy to lose sight of how much we have in common. In Maya Angelou's poem, Human Family, she writes about how despite these differences, we're all part of one human family. She writes in the 4th stanza, I've sailed the 7 seas and stopped in every land. I've seen the wonders of the world, not one common man. Now, being Maya Angelou, we can excuse her for taking some poetic license with gender and see this line as inclusive of everyone. And we have much in common, guys, gals, non-binary pals. We're all part of God's family, and we can see one another as a child of God, created in God's image and part of this unified body that gathers together to worship right here in this space. We have rich, profound, beautiful, and inspiring experiences, and we listed some of them from grandchildren to great-grandchildren and to awesome grandchildren, which I just threw in there on my own, and good books, hugs, and so many other sources of joy. Yet, we also all have experiences that can bring us down. Yet through those ups and downs, as George Bailey of Bedford Falls showed us, it is in fact a wonderful, I knew you'd get it. As I was writing it, I knew you'd be ahead of me on that one. As soon as I said George Bailey. To this wonderful life, with its twists and turns, Isaiah 35 presents an image of transformation. Isaiah says there's going to be water, new life, and flowering blossoms in the desert. Our passage opens up, the wilderness shall be glad. This joy doesn't come because of rote participation in ancient rituals. It comes from that flowing water, blooming flowers, and the joy, the sources of joy that we find around us every single day. The threads forming the low points in the tapestry of our lives aren't the only threads. They're good ones too. There are happy ones. And as Maya Angelou reminds us, we're in it together. Today is the 3rd Sunday in this Advent journey, and 2 weeks ago we were in Isaiah chapter 2, and we looked at God's desire for peace among the nations. It was a dreamlike vision of turning swords into plowshares, and the message to the nations, the Hebrew word there was very clear. That message to the nations was universal. It included all, everyone. Then last week we focused on the invitation to proclaim God's reign in Isaiah 11. It was a call to peace that passes all understanding, and it was set against that idyllic image of predators and prey communing together in harmony. This is that place where we have the wolves and the lambs, the leopards and baby goats and calves and lions. It's a crazy picture of harmony, and the whole thing is about the coming of God's reign and what can be. Today we find God's holy way. It's in verse 8 of our reading, and it's a path of safety through the worst of what life can offer. Just like every other aspect of life, no one will make anyone walk that holy way. Whether we experience those flowers in the wilderness or not is up to us. And to some point, to some extent, as participants in the coming of God's reign, we can influence whether there will be flowers in the wilderness or not. We are part of God's story, and we have a choice. When Isaiah says there's a highway in the desert, there's no compulsion to get on it. In this way, God's holy way, God's holy highway here in Isaiah 35, and this whole faith journey, everything we do together when we gather in this space, it is a bit like what the conductor says to the narrator at the very end of the Polar Express. You remember the movie, The Polar Express? The Polar Express. Okay, some of you have seen it, others have not. But at the end, as the train pulls down the middle of the street, don't ask if you haven't seen it, and the narrator gets off, the conductor, voiced by Tom Hanks, says to him, one thing about trains, I don't know about impressions, it doesn't matter where they're going, what matters is deciding to get on. And it's the same with God's holy way. See, we don't know where the path will take us. We don't know where the future will take us. We never really know what's next. But we have a choice. We can be part of God's story or not. God invites and we decide. In Isaiah, this holy way is the assurance of a safe passage through those times when the wilderness seems to be threatening us from every side, when the wilderness seems to have all sorts of things, when the wilderness seems hell-bent on tearing us down and providing only the negative threads for the tapestry of our lives. This holy way is a way of safety, and joining God on this holy way is an invitation to a transformative relationship. In the last 2 weeks, Isaiah's text talked about transforming weapons, economies, social orders, and the predator-prey, that whole predator-prey relationship. And here in Isaiah 35, we find God transforming land and people, including overcoming disabilities. Isaiah 35 is about God's power over where we are and how we see the future. It's a holistic message of restoration. These verses don't start with some addressee to so-and-so. And this lack of a recipient widens its scope so that this message is for us. And it can be a message for us today, where we are. This message comes during this time of Advent as we prepare for God incarnate. And here Isaiah says, strengthen the weak hands. Be strong. Don't be afraid. All those things that make up life. The good, the bad, and the ugly. They're not ours alone. Maya Angelou reminds us of how much not only we have in common, but we're in it together. And Isaiah says, wherever you are, whatever you see, whatever you're experiencing right now, whatever you're going through, it can be better. Trust God. Recognize the potential that surrounds us each and every day. See the people around you. And right now we can look around the room and see the people in our presence as fellow sojourners. They're not our adversaries. They're not even disassociated sort of passengers on the train. These are people who are in it with you. We're all cruising toward a bright future together when the lame shall walk and the blind shall see. And the whole thing has a dream-like quality to it. And we need dreams like this. We need images that give us hope for the future, hope for hopelessness. We need the encouragement that the deserts of our lives will have water again. They will bloom again. And when it seems like the stones are crying out, there will be hope again. Our reading this Sunday includes a whole bunch of hope, and that hope can come together to give us a source of joy. The Hebrew Bible scholar Gene Tucker writes, above all, both the tone and the substance of this passage we just heard proclaim the good news of God's care for the people of God. Those who experience their lives as exiles, those who pass through the wilderness, those who are weak or even suffering from a disability will shout for joy, for God will transform all things. Even proclaiming this message is good news, and it has the potential to change lives and transform the realities of the world around us. Now, I don't know what you brought with you this morning. I don't know if you're feeling like an exile or have felt like one before. I don't know if you've passed through a wilderness, or maybe you even feel like you're in a wilderness right now, and maybe it doesn't even feel like you're passing through. Maybe it feels like you're setting up shop there and the wilderness is going to be where you are. I don't know if you're weak this morning, tired from this joyful season with too much joy and too many things drawing you in too many directions. Or you might be here today and feel like $1,000,000. No matter where you are right now, no matter what you brought with you, God has the power to transform a desert into a flowering, blooming garden. And God can transform our lives when we open ourselves up and get on board God's train. The choice is ours. And as we continue on this Advent journey, looking ahead to the celebration of God incarnate, we hear those promises from Isaiah and get to decide what to do about it. The choice is ours. The most exciting part of this invitation to participate in God's work is we get to be a part of God's solutions. If you're feeling like an exile, I'll bet your bottom dollar there is someone else here who has been there before. If you're feeling like you are in the wilderness and you're lost there and can't find a compass to direct your way out, there's somebody else here who has been there before. And not only would they be willing to walk along beside you, but they would feel honored to do so. If you're feeling weak and tired and like you're carrying a heavy burden this morning, there is someone here who would be delighted and would even find it a blessing to be able to help you, walk along beside you, and if you let them, maybe even carry that burden a little bit too. Yesterday, we were rehearsing here, and someone said to me, "How are you?" And I said, "Okay." And he said, "That was not convincing at all." And I thought that was fantastic. You see, that was God at work in that moment. That was God speaking through that person, witting or unwittingly, to call out that deception. The one, we all do it. "How are you?" "Fine." It's the call and response, kind of a cadence in most social circles. God is at work. God is moving in our midst, and God is willing to invite us to be participants in God's solutions for whatever we face. We're not alone. Not only is God with us, inviting us to experience transformation, but we are with one another and have the opportunity to be a source of transformation to one another. At the end of that poem, Maya Angelou's Human Family, she said, "We are more alike, my friends, then we are unalike. We are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike. Indeed. And we walk together in faith, serving and seeking a God who loves us. Amen.